You're listening to the Grind Line Podcast.
What's up, and welcome to another episode of the Grind Line Podcast. I'm your host, Greg. I'm here tonight with Ryan. This is episode 340. Ryan, how are you doing? Kids are almost back in school. How are you?
For that reason alone, I'm fantastic. But I'm more fantastic about this weather that we currently have, because it is, what is it outside? It says a nice cool 63 degrees. There's a glow to the clouds. This is the best time of year. And it might be just the teaser, and we're going to get smoked out by some stupid heat here soon. But overall, no, I'm doing good.
Yeah, we are experiencing what we in Michigan call fake fall. This is fake fall. You get this for about a week, which I'll take the week of high 60s, low 70s before it goes back up to 80 degrees next week. But we will enjoy fake fall. And we do have kind of a show tonight. There's not a ton to talk about. So we're going to focus on a couple things going into the season that are what is important for the Red Wings to take that next step. What are some key pieces or key things that need to happen in order to kind of push the Red Wings into the playoffs? And what we're going to start with tonight is Dylan Larkin. So Dylan Larkin recently made NHL Network's list of top 20 centers, came in at number 15. I think he was...
Again?
Was he 16 last year, or was he 15 last year too?
Oh, wait, it says it on there. Last year, number 19.
Oh, see? So he jumps 4 spots. So Dylan Larkin, 4 spots up to number 15. And this got people talking. They're like, there's no way. The people love to bash Dylan Larkin. And I find that this happens with good players on teams that have been bad for a while because they like to pin the success of the team on one person. And that's not fair to Dylan Larkin. I think 15, for what he has done and where he is at in his career, is perfectly fine.
I mean, I'd say that really the last 2 seasons, we've talked about where we feel, granted, you can call it bias, I don't really care, where he should be ranked in terms of top centers in the league. And we've kind of hammered home the fact that we feel that he's minimum top 20, definitely top 15. Depending on how they finally can get over that hump, he could be knocking on the door to top 10. That's not, however, to discredit anyone that's ahead of him or on this current list, because you're talking about some of the best players in hockey. And especially at the center position, he's shown that he can be that guy. Do we want more? We always do. That's what we clamor for as fans. I don't think that him showing up as number 15 is a bad thing, is an undersell, isn't necessarily an oversell. It's great considering all things for where this team's been at the last several years.
Yeah, the centers they had listed above him are Nico Hischier, Sebastian Aho, Robert Thomas, which I'm not sure I agree with the Robert Thomas one, Jack Hughes, Nick Suzuki, Mark Scheifele, Braden Point, Austin Matthews, Jack Eichel, Sidney Crosby, Alexander Barkov, Leon Draisaitl, Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid. And there were a couple interesting quotes because Mike Rupp and Brian Boyle actually did a segment on it on NHL Network where Mike Rupp said, and this is just a couple quotes, they weren't completely together, he needs to have his moment and drag this team into the playoffs. He can be a top 10 guy. He just needs to see him in the playoffs to basically say, yeah, this is the guy. Brian Boyle's, I thought, though, were even more interesting, where Brian Boyle said he's criminally underrated. What he did at 4 Nations is incredible. He's a he's a stronger player than anyone gives him credit for. And that's kind of what we say. And then you see a lot of comments on there like Dylan Larkin's garbage. And we're like, you're not watching him. It's for the people. And for people to not know exactly what his game is kind of weird to me because he's on international teams. And if you watch international, you'll see Dylan Larkin. And like they said, what he did at 4 Nations, working his way up to like second line center, top line center at times, because he was doing what he was doing, he makes everyone around him better. Dylan Larkin is kind of that spark that when you put him on a line, his line mates, he brings his line mates up. And that's one of the keystones of a true number 1 center is being able to increase the play of the people around you, as well as being just a really solid 2-way guy. They called him a power forward. I don't think he's a power forward. I think he's a high IQ 2-way center.
He's a great 2-way forward. I agree to that point, but that was I mean, you think power forward, you're talking like you look at the panel that was discussing this. Brian Boyle was a power forward. That's a big body dude that's going to go in there, drive hard to the net. Johan Franzen, power forward.
That's what we're
Like, that
hoping
is
Michael
what-
Bransick Nygaard is.
Yeah, that is what I envision. I mean, I can see it because he's not afraid to go into areas that you want a guy to go into. Like, he's going to go fight in the corner. He's going to go fight in front of the net. He's going to drive the net and try to force you out of the way. But maybe it's an older thought of, you think power forward, you're thinking a big dude that either is going to fight you. It's kind of what we would hope Rasmussen would be, right? He's that big body dude to just go in there, muck it up, score some goals.
Maybe not even big body anymore. Like, I would have considered Tyler Bertuzzi a power forward. Sure. Because you've got that grit to you, that edge. You're going to go hard into the boards and battle that puck out. Now Larkin will do that too. Larkin will go dig pucks out. He has no issue doing it.
Maybe that's where Rupper was going with it.
Maybe. I would call then Dylan Larkin an all situations forward. You can use him anywhere and he's going to exceed at what he's doing. Last season on the Evolving Hockey chart, he was an 87 overall, top 80s, so 87 percentile overall with an 83 offense and a 67 defense. Positive across the board, positive power play, positive shorthanded defense. Was really good at drawing penalties, good at even strength on both offense and defense. 29 years old. And I think the big thing for Dylan Larkin next season, and this is not a knock on him because the situations in which he did get hurt were kind of precarious situations. He was also hurt coming out of Four Nations, which ended up being a harder tournament than I think people thought it would be. But Dylan Larkin needs to stay healthy. I want Dylan Larkin to play. I would love for him to play 82. I need him to play at least like 70.
He played 82 last year.
But he was hurt coming out of Four Nations.
Yeah.
I need him to play a full season healthy, like be healthy and bring that girl dad energy, because I think a lot of people forgot that he had a baby and now he's got girl dad energy. So I need him to play a full healthy season, because that's, I think, the only way that he's going to be able to silence some of the people.
I hope so. I mean, he finished, if you look at all centers on NHL.com stats, like you look at guys that played over 50 games. I had it sorted by face-off winning percentage over 50. He was top 13 in scoring when you break it down by that. But all the centers this past year, he dropped a bit in terms of what his scoring production was. He came in at 23rd. We've hammered home where we feel, and he can be there, a point per game player. He does that. He's in top 10 in scoring for centers, on top of having an incredible 54.5 percentage win rate in the faceoff dot, which you look at others like Tim Stützle, who for some reason is still considered a center, came in at a 47 rate, which actually props to him, but he also took a fraction, I think, of the faceoffs, if I remember correctly. But that's not to shit on Stützle, because he's an all-world talent as well, right there with Lucas Raymond, probably one of the better forward draft classes of late. But, I mean, the names that you still look at as ahead of Dylan Larkin in terms of point production, you got McKinnon and Draisaitl and McDavid leading the pack, on top of Eichel, Crosby. Nick Suzuki's finally he's really coming into his own. And I don't know why Habs fans get so up in arms about saying that they're the similar type of player. What's upsetting and annoying at this point is that people don't like hearing that a guy is as good as someone else, because the points don't want to go there. They don't think that Larkin is a first line center, which still blows my mind in terms of what he brings you full circle in terms of 200-foot
Those are just stat watchers. That's what they are.
It is. But I mean, you look at several of those guys that are in the top 10, McKinnon, Draisaitl, McDavid, Eichel, Crosby. Those are true two-way centers, but they're just an elite talent that you're not finding in very many places. Scheifele's up there, Necas, Duchesne, Braden Point. Like, it's a fantastic list for him to come in at 15. I think it speaks to what he's able to give you night in and night out.
Yeah, so through 82 last season, he had 30 goals and 40 assists for 70 points. This was his fourth 30-goal season in a row. 17 of his 30 goals were even strength. 26 of his 40 assists were even strength. So he was pretty even across the board on power play and at even strength. The big thing is that his Corsi numbers are fantastic. The team possesses the puck far more when Dylan Larkin's on the ice at a 55.8 Corsi percentage and a 55.8 Fenwick percentage. That's actually up 1.2% from last season and keeps climbing. So he's getting hit the possession numbers for the team when Dylan Larkin is on the ice keep going up season after season, and his PDO was at basically a wash 100, which Dylan Larkin was playing to the level that he should be able to. Now, what we'll point to for points is kind of what we'll end up going into in the second segment here, is that a lot of those guys those centers that get a ton of points, sure, you have some generational talents on there. McKinnon's, your Draisaitl's, your McDavid's, Austin Matthews, Sidney Crosby. Those are just generational type guys. I'm not saying Dylan Larkin's generational. He's damn good. He's not generational. But what those guys also have is they have a solid top line. They have a solid left wing. They have a solid right wing. Dylan Larkin has Lucas Raymond, who's on his left side. That's one thing that they should have addressed this season, was either get a second line center to move Marco Kasper up, or get Dylan Larkin a bona fide offensive top line left winger. And then you see Larkin's points go up. You see Raymond's points go up. And if all you're pointing to is points for a center, you're not looking at the whole picture. And because if you look at the Red Wings lineup, that's not doing Larkin justice, because they don't have a completely set top six.
And that's going to be really interesting to watch, because with what everyone's been hammering on in terms of the Yzer plan and things like that, is this where we see a prospect truly get that opportunity to maybe jump on that wing? Do you see an MBN hitting that right wing? Do you see a Nate Danielson somehow hitting that right wing? Because you're bringing skill and speed and two-way play to an already dangerous duo with Larkin and Raymond. Do you try to go with two kids and a goat? Not saying that Larkin's a goat by any stretch of the imagination, because we know that original moniker fell on Brett Hull, and that speaks for itself. Do you try to bring that spark out the gate? Because the opportunity's there, the way that things are structured. You've got your skilled young players. They have an opportunity to come in and make an impact, much like Lucas Raymond did, or Marco Kasper. But can they seize it?
Yep, so we're going to take a quick break. On the other side of the break, we're going to come back and talk about what some of those possibilities are for top six pairings going into the season. This is barring Yzerman making any more moves, which is looking more and more likely by the minute that he's not going to really do anything. So we will take a break, be right back, word from our sponsors. During our quick break, I just want to tell everyone about something that's totally changed my mornings, Strong Coffee Company. If you're like me, you love your coffee, but you also want it to actually do something for you. This is the upgrade you've been looking for. Strong Coffee isn't your average cup of joe. It's an all-in-one instant blend made for people who care about their health and performance. You're getting 15 grams of grass-fed protein, 5 grams of MCTs for long-lasting energy, and adaptogens like ashwagandha and L-theanine to help you stay calm, focused, and productive without the jitters or crash. The black blend is bold and smooth, made from organic fair trade Arabica beans, and their lattes, they've got collagen, hyaluronic acid, healthy fats, the works. It tastes amazing and helps you feel sharper, sleep better, and just show up as your best self every day. And on top of all that, they're eco-friendly too, so you can feel good about what you're putting in your body and how it's made. Check them out at strongcoffeecompany.com and use our code GRINDLINE. That's strongcoffeecompany.com, promo code GRINDLINE at checkout for 20% off. That's GRINDLINE for 20% off your order. Give it a shot. I think you're going to love it. And we're back. And in the second half of the episode, like I said, we're going to talk top six combos. So like we said before the break, we really don't, I think we have a decent idea of what the top six might look like, but there's not really a set option at that top line left wing to where you go, oh, we absolutely know what the ice is going to look like on night one. There's options, which is, I guess, keeps us guessing. It gives us more content. It's not really a really good feeling to know that the top six is not in the shape that it should be coming out of the offseason. Yeah, it's not the shape it should be coming out of the offseason.
It's tough, because we were excited, and Max just touched on this in a neat little mailbag. I think it came out today in The Athletic. But it's the splash didn't happen with the up in the salary cap. We all saw it. It actually somehow managed to play into the top teams maintaining all their glory, like Florida, for instance. So it's become more of a balancing act of, do you try to go all in? And there's reports that have come out that said that Eisman was making his pitch, like especially with guys like Aaron Ekblad, to try to solidify the defense. You got 32 teams that you're competing with. It's extremely difficult. And we've known that for several years. So best case scenario, we get it from within. You mentioned that we made some moves. Does JVR sit there? I would think he will. It's interesting because now you've got two of your wingers in your top six, both 35 years plus, which I wouldn't have expected that if we were talking about this 2-3 years ago. But it's not to go without the fact that they do bring some skill, and JVR can do that. Detroit's seemingly gone after him the last 2 seasons. Outside of that, there's a lot to be desired, and I don't know. That's why I kind of mentioned earlier. Do you see a Danielson? Do you see an MBN crack this roster to try to shake things up, if you will? I think at this point, Danielson, he can play anywhere in your top 9. But I also believe, based on what I've seen to this point, you could almost say the same for MBN. And I don't think you're going to lose a lot necessarily. And that's a good thing.
Yeah. So the first option I have for top 6, and this is kind of a twofer because it's just switching out. It's like switching out between 2 players. Either Soderblom, Larkin, Raymond, Cat, Casper, Kane, or JVR, Larkin, Raymond, Cat, Casper, Kane. So this keeps your second line that performed very well last season, your Alex DeBrincat, Marco Casper, Patrick Kane line, and gives you an option that's not Michael Rasmussen as your top line left wing. So Elmer Soderblom, big body, has something that you can't duplicate in other players, which is long stick, very tall. Those are the 2 things. Good puck protector, good at stripping pucks from other players, has shown nasty hands in front of the net. So you have a net front presence with someone like Elmer. And the advantage to having a net front presence in Elmer is that he's big. He takes away the eyes of the goalie. He is not easily knocked off his feet. He's not like a baby deer out there on the ice. And he's shown last season to be a little bit more physical. So he's shown a more physical side to him, which is good using his size. Last season in 26 games played, had 4 goals and 7 assists for 11 points on 38 shots. And his Corsi numbers are pretty good. So last season in all situations, he had a Corsi for of 49 and a Fenwick of 48.4. And it's not even a full season. So he's played a total of 47 NHL games, but he's built that consistency. I think that is where it shows, hey, is he a top line player? Probably not, but he's a guy you can slot in there. And I think he would give that line something that it is missing, which is a big body in front of the net to be able to get pucks in. And that's kind of where we'll go with James Van Riemsdyk too, which is good puck tipper. But what are your thoughts on Elmer on the top line?
I wouldn't hate it. I mean, we've seen the experiment with Rasmussen up there, and he's done well at times. But to what you just said, there's definitely a higher skill factor in what Soderblom can bring, which I think would play very well with Raymond and Larkin. On top of the fact that, yes, he's a big body, but he can do it more than just being sitting there in front of the net like a Holmstrom, for instance. He can take you out. He can go do those beautiful shots from inside the circle or inside the faceoff dots. Like, he's got the ability to pass, make that one extra play that's going to spring someone free. So I don't see it as a detriment. And I'm glad that the worries that we had kind of coming into last season with him, and I know that there was the conversations about, can he be a consistent player at not only the NHL level, but at the AHL level. He seems to have finally got past that. And the confidence was showing, especially when the coaching change took place, that he could go out there. And we saw that with most of the team, for that matter. So now this is maybe that year where do we see the coming out party? And again, like I mentioned, Max even touched on this one too with him. There's several of these younger players that we're starting to see take that extra step to try to make this team better. And I think if this is a guy that you're looking at for that, to come into your top 6 and provide a spark because he's a great skater too. I think that's an important factor to that size is that he can go north south very well and even in east west because
It's at
we've
least
seen
not a
the ability.
detriment.
Yeah. And in comparison to Rasmussen, where he's more of a north south guy, he's not going to deke you out of your boots. Soderblom could. Now it's a little bit trickier because, he's got one of the biggest sticks in the entire league, but I like what he brings. And JVR is in a similar boat, even though he's much older. We've seen that from him year over year. So I don't think you can go wrong with when push comes to shove with either guy on the wing of Larkin and Raymond.
So JVR, 71 games played last season, 16 goals, 20 assists for 36 points. What JVR gives you, I think, is that he's a veteran presence. He's done this for a very long time. He's one of the best puck tippers in the league. It's something he regularly works on, is just sitting in front of the net and tipping in pucks. He will go hard to the corners. He's not afraid to battle. He is a rugged dude. That is for lack of a better term, that's your power forward. JVR is your power forward type guy. It's just between him, like I said, Soderblom has that reach aspect. That's something that you can't teach. JVR has that known commodity aspect. You know what he's going to do. He gives that top line a veteran presence. He's not super fast. He's not going to, like you said, deke someone out of their skates. But JVR is going to stand in front of the net and give you every opportunity to get that puck in. So that's why I think now, do I like that we're talking about JVR in our top 6? No. I think JVR's perfect position.
7 years ago? Yes.
Sure. Yeah. Give me the JVR, let's see, in 2016-17, where he had 29 62 goals and 31 assists for 60 points in Toronto.
He's a 30-goal scorer.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since that happened.
Sure. 2013-14, but he's not going to do it again. But if JVR could come into that top line and give you some stability, that's what you're hoping for.
Give me 15, 20 goals, but boatloaded up the assists.
Sure. I don't like that we're talking about it because, again, he should be a third line left wing.
You know what's important, I think, though, when looking at his stat line, at least from last year with Columbus, he had 16 goals last season, as you stated. 15 of those were even strength. Something that Detroit struggled with mightily.
5v5
even strength
offense.
Scoring.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the intent and thought process with bringing him in because you got a 6'3", 210-pound dude coming in to try to solidify your top line. I mean, to me, that's where you look at JVR and Elmer. You've got size, you've got skill, everything in between. So does it work? We'll find out soon. But I would not be upset with either of those guys, at least as of today, being the winger on that group.
So the second option that I have listed here is one that I think is pretty realistic if they want to really solidify that top line. And that is Marco Kasper, Larkin, and Raymond, Alex DeBrincat, Andrew Kopp, Patrick Kane. Now, what I'm not excited about here is Andrew Kopp is your second line center. But Kasper becomes your top line winger. So there's power on that top line, and Kasper, you would turn him into a power forward because he also has grit and angriness to his game. And Kopp's main attribute is providing defense, where Patrick Kane does not give you a lot of defense. Cat, for his credit, has stepped up his defense decently. So Cat can play a defensive game now, but Kopp is also a good facilitator. He's great at passing the puck. So if he's setting up someone like Alex DeBrincat to score 40 goals next season, great. Patrick Kane, same thing. You set him up, he has a great shot. So I am less mad about this one because I trust in the defensive aspect of Andrew Kopp. I'm not asking Andrew Kopp to go out and score 30 goals. I'm asking him to set up 30 goals for his
20.
line mates and play defensive hockey.
And be healthy because when Raz
and
went
survive
down,
a hockey season.
Yeah, when Raz went, now it was also kind of a freak thing the way that he got hurt last season, but losing Raz, then losing Kopp, we realized the impact that both those guys had on this team, more so Kopp. And yes, we have ragged on him a lot. I would argue rightfully so, because you really want him for the role that he's in to be averaging at least a half point per game. He has
which he
really
was doing last season.
He was on that path. He came in at 0.41 points per game last year. But at the same time, if you can have him healthy, solidifying your second line center to allow a guy like Casper to bump up and give you that flexibility of having Soderblom and JVR in your bottom six, because now you add that level of grinded out mentality to that group in terms of your bottom six, and you've really got a physical yet solid scoring top six. The second line leaves a bit to be desired when you throw Kopp with Cat and Kane. I think he slows it down a little bit, but what's going to be interesting to watch, I think, is that Cat didn't get the call to go to orientation camp for Team USA. Does it mean that Does it mean that he won't make it? Not necessarily. Patrick Kane has already come out and say that he has an extra bit of motivation to try to make Team USA. Now you've got some guys. This is where I really do appreciate the Olympics coming back for these players, is that they're trying to play towards something other than just the NHL playoffs. Now, do I want that to be what drives them into the ground and wears them out after the Olympics? Absolutely not. But if you can at least establish yourself as a team early on, you can afford those slip ups and 3, 4, 5 game losing streaks later on in the season. But we need you to come out the gate hot. We need to see that change.
Yeah, what I think this does give you too is that we talked about in the first half is a path for Larkin to bump his points up. Marco Kasper gives you more offense. So you want Raymond to have a 90, 95 point season. Marco Kasper is going to help that. You want Larkin to have an 85 point season. Marco Kasper is going to help that. You want Marco Kasper to have a 60 point season. Larkin and Raymond are going to help that. So I think that is where you really solidify that top line while not really putting a ton of detriment into that second line by having Andrew Kopp there. But here's my wild card third option. Kasper, Larkin, Raymond, and a second line of DeBrincat, Danielson, and Kane. Now, this is where Yzerman and McClellan look at Danielson, who's had a fantastic camp, say, yeah, you can take the same path as Marco Kasper and break in and work your way to second line center. Bring Marco Kasper up front. You've got a kid who is basically plays like Dylan Larkin plays. He does everything right on the ice. He's where he needs to be when he needs to be there. He makes really smart defensive moves. He's a great passer. He has offense to his game. If he can follow that same path and play that same way as Kasper did when he broke in, that's where I think you have one of the best opportunities to have an extremely solid top six and then leave Kopp to that third line to really build a checking line on the third.
I'm really going to be intrigued when the players report this year to see what he comes in at weight-wise. Because right now on the Wings roster, Danielson is shown as 6'2", 185. I'm wondering if he's up that to get close, at least to over 190, closer to 200. Because now you're talking some fun, because you got MBN showing at 6'1", 198 on the Wings roster. With Kopp is 6'1", 203. So if that's going to be some big bodied boys coming in, try to make some noise. And when you put that with a Cat and a Kane, for instance, even with Kopp, like any of those guys that we just mentioned, Kasper, Kopp, Danielson, that provides some relief. And I like the way that Kane seems to be approaching this season, where it's all or nothing. And so much with DeBrincat, like if that's what you can get, and you've got a fired up, pissed off second line, which could arguably some nights be your top line, I think that's what you would hope for, right, as a fan for Detroit. And maybe that is what puts them over the hump, over the edge.
The Griffins roster has Nate Danielson listed at 6'1", 190. So if he has a summer, puts on 10 pounds, I mean, that's puts him right around the 200. I don't even think Dylan Larkin's 200. But he's got the similar build that Larkin's
Larkin
got.
shows his on the Wings website is 6'1", 199.
Yeah, see, so almost 200. So if he can put on 10 and go basically be a Larkin build, I think these styles run pretty parallel between the two players. Yeah. And if he can break in, and like I said, it's a kid that can take a spot, and that's what's supposed to happen. A kid breaks in, takes a spot, and then cements himself. So I think that's my most exciting option. But I think the option to me that makes the most sense is Casper Larkin, Raymond, DeBrincat, Kopp, Kane.
Yeah, I could see that happen, at least to start. And that can be a good thing because you got a fully healthy Kopp coming back in. You've got Casper coming off what was a fantastic rookie campaign. And you know that Larkin and Raymond are going to come in fired up. You've seen that they've been out. A lot of these guys have been with other players doing their off-season training regimen. But they know at the same time, there's pressure. This is the centennial. This is probably outside of the first year at LCA, a year that the team or the fan base is expecting something to happen. And unfortunately, we're at the point where we're not waiting for or expecting a division championship. We're expecting playoffs. With everything that's playing out, you've got the Fedorov announcement. You've got all these events taking place throughout the season at LCA. You've got Hockey Town get put back on the ice, which I'm still torn on how I like it. I love the 100 logo. It's beautiful. To me, it should be by itself, but whatever. Bring in Hockey Town next year with the Red Wings logo. But no, there's going to be an extra level of pressure. And I think it's going to make for a great atmosphere, though, at LCA. So it's going to be interesting. There's a lot of young players that people have been clamoring for, wanting to see out there. They're getting upset with the Yzer plan, but you're starting to see all the players that he's picked up the last several years now starting to make their impact on this roster. So do you want him to go spend money? I do, but I don't, on certain players, or do you want to see these top tier athletes make their way up through the system? It's a lot of the comparisons, and I think I made it before, are looking at what the Tigers have done. They mostly have built internally. Alavila, with all of his freaking pain that he brought us, drafted many of these players that are on this roster, and Scott Harris has done a very good job as well in terms of constructing them from within. That's what we're seeing with Yzerman. Unfortunately, it's taking a little bit longer. So how much longer can we hold on? That's going to be the question.
I agree. Final thoughts?
Go Wings. Already ranked 33.
You can follow me online at Bringing the Wing. You can follow the Grindline Podcast online at Grindline Pod. Give a shout out to the Hockey Podcast Network for hosting us and spreading us around. Vintage Detroit, which is the only place you should get your Detroit jerseys from and worked on, and where we have an exclusive t-shirt collection. You can head over to their website, click the Keep It Local tab, click the Grindline Podcast, and find all of our designs there. You can also go to YouTube, search Grindline Podcast, subscribe to us, and turn on those notifications. You'll be notified whenever an episode goes live. But that is going to do it for us tonight. So for Ryan, I am Greg. You stay classy, Hockey Town.